Okay, we are going to annotate mushrooms today. This is our last poem for this semester because when we get back from break, we're going to start Chronicle. So we're going to be taking a break from poetry. So today we're going to do Mushrooms by Sylvia Plath. And we're going to start out with the thesis of the poem. So we're going to write that at the top. This is the thesis. And the thesis of this poem is Plath uses the mushrooms because she literally is, gosh, I cannot spell. Plath uses the mushrooms, there we go, mushrooms to rep the inevitability of revolution for those that are oppressed. So Plath uses the mushrooms to represent the inevitability of revolution for those that are oppressed. So I want to start with the thesis because knowing that will really help us understand the poem as we are analyzing it. So let's read it. Overnight, very whitely, discreetly, very quietly, our toes, our noses take hold on the loam, acquire the air. Nobody sees us, stops us, betrays us. The small grains make room. Soft fists insist on heaving the needles, the leafy bedding, even the paving. Our hammers, our rams, earless and eyeless, perfectly voiceless, widen the crannies, shoulder through holes. We diet on water, on crumbs of shadow, bland-mannered, asking little or nothing. So many of us, so many of us. We are shelves, we are tables, we are meek, we are edible, nudgers and shovers in spite of ourselves. We are kind, our kind multiplies. We shall by morning inherit the earth, our foot's in the door. So then if we look back at the thesis, Plath uses the mushrooms to represent the inevitability of revolution for those that are oppressed. So if you think about not the TED Talk, the John Green video and what I said about Plath in one of my first videos introducing the poetry, in talking about her depression, other things that she was interested in was women's rights. And so if we're talking about oppression, get another pin here, those that are oppressed, who is she talking about during this time in the 50s and 60s, and including herself? Who do you think she's referencing as those who are oppressed in reference to herself? Probably women, right? She's oppressed. Well, this poem is timeless then, right? Because there's always going to be people who are oppressed. And so, think about people who are feeling oppression right now. And this poem can relate to them as well. So, so it's timeless. Okay, you are going to need 3 highlighters. Okay, and things that we're going to highlight later are we're going to color mark words associated with strength. We're going to color mark words associated with weakness, and color mark words associated with darkness. Okay, so I'm going to do green for strength. Whoops. I'm going to do blue for weakness. And I'm going to do pink for darkness. Okay, so I'm just going to make that key right now. All right. Okay. Overnight, very whitely, discreetly, very quietly. So we've got repetition, right, of the adverb very. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. Whitely, discreetly, quietly are all also adverbs. Okay, so repetition of adverbs. Our toes, our noses take hold on the loam, acquire the air. So diction, not breathe, right, but acquire. But acquire it. So there's, you know, there's something to be said about acquiring it and not breathing it. Loam. Loam is or a forest floor. Notice this enjambment. So let's look. Do we have enjambment for every? So no, not enjambment there. We do have enjambment here. Enjambment here. Enjambment. Enjambment. Okay, I'm going to put a key over here that my arrow is enjambment. And you should know what that means from your doing your poetry terms, but it's when the lines in poetry, like there's not a stopping point, right? The sentence doesn't end, it goes on to the next line. Okay, so enjambment between those two. Enjambment's going to play a key role in this poem. Let's see. Enjambment between the stanzas. Okay. These are such short stanzas, right? And I don't know if I pointed this out in the last poem, but all of Plath's poetry, her stanzas have the same lines, so number of lines. So this one has 3 lines. Spinster, I don't think I have that one handy here. I don't, and I don't want to waste your time. But if you go back and look at Spinster, it has the same number of lines per stanza. It was 6, I remember. And so this is 3 per stanza. Let's look at the syllables per line. I want you to take a second and count the syllables for the, for the first 3 stanzas. Count the syllables per line. So what did you notice about those? They're all the same, right? It's 5. And trust me when I say it's all of them are 5 syllables. So let's write that down. Let's write that at the bottom. All lines are 5 syllables. Okay, so that's a structure. Okay, and we've got short stanzas, but a lot of them, right? Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Okay. Nobody sees us, stops us, betrays us. The small grains make room. So, small grains make room. More people can join us. Right? Because we're in a revolution. Don't forget, we're in a revolution. Because this entire poem, well, this is our thesis up here. This is an extended metaphor. Our thesis is telling us it's an extended metaphor. Oops. For these subjugated groups. And for Plath, it's women, but for today, it could be anybody. Okay, so anybody can join us. The small grains make room. We're making room for anybody to be a part of us. And nobody sees us, stops us, or betrays us because nobody's paying attention to us. We're just, okay, you do whatever. You do your little thing. It's okay. But while no one's paying attention to us, we're getting bigger. Okay. So while no one is paying attention, we're growing. Well, mushrooms are that she's using mushrooms because same thing, right? Mushrooms are constantly growing and growing off of each other and appearing, and there's one and then there's many. Soft fists insist. So that's kind of a cool rhyme. Cool rhyme, a cool sound. Whoops. Cool rhyme, cool sound. This inner rhyme. We don't get a whole bunch of rhyme with Plath, and so when she does rhyme, you know, we take notice of it. Having the needles, the leafy bedding, and so the fists, mushrooms look like fists. Gosh dang. My brain is working, my hand is working faster than my brain. Mushrooms look like fists, or maybe my hand's working faster. I don't know. Something's working faster than the other. As they grow stronger. Even the leafy bedding, even the paving, our hammers, our rams, earless and eyeless. We're making changes. Without anyone knowing. Earless and eyeless, perfectly voiceless, widen the cranny, shoulder through the holes. We diet on water, on crumbs of shadow, bland-mannered, asking little or nothing. So this we by itself. So we is such an important word, especially in a revolution of the oppressed and subjugated groups, right? Because it's a group and they're sticking together and they need to be heard. And when you feel oppressed and you have a group that feels the same as you, that we is everything, right? And this we is kind of hiding, right? It's not by itself and it's not starting the next stanza. It's on its own, like right over here. Like I'm at the end of this sentence, so I'm right here, but I'm not standing out so much that I want you to notice me quite yet. So it's kind of right. We see it, you know, because it's what we're doing. We're looking for it. But if we weren't looking for it, then we would probably just gloss over it. So it's hidden to the casual observer. It emphasizes the oppression of this group. Diet on water, on crumbs of shadow, bland manner, asking little or nothing. So many of us, so many of us. This juxtaposes. Whoops. Okay, that's my ringtone. Juxtaposes the first stanza of quietness. Because remember, up here we're discreet, we're quiet. We're just starting out. Okay? We're just getting this group together. We're just forming, we're figuring out how we're going to start this revolution. And now there's so many of us. And now we're not going to be quiet. We've got exclamation marks. We're loud. We're not going to be quiet. We're here. We are shelves. We are tables. We are meek. We are edible. You know, these are things that all of these shelves, tables, what do they have in common? They hold things up, prop things up. Which goes with the thesis, goes with the extended metaphor that Plath is writing about women as the oppressed group. You know, behind every great man is a woman. You know, these are sayings back in that time. Things aren't noticed until they're gone. Nobody notices the furniture until it's gone. So you don't notice us. You don't know how much you need us until we're gone, is what Plath is saying there. This also over here, this has a tone of assertiveness, right? Of us, like, you know, we're mild and meek when we're at home, but you get us all together and watch out. Nudgers and shovers in spite of ourselves, our kind multiplies. We shall by morning inherit the earth, our foot's in the door. So here she says meek, and then we have inherit the earth. So we have an allusion to the meek shall inherit the earth. Something to keep in mind that mushrooms grow in darkness. They can't grow in sunlight, which is another reason she chooses mushrooms as for this extended metaphor, because you know, women are in the shadow of men, right? At this time. And so that's a perfect metaphor for this. So let's talk about the structure. If you have, you know, these words short individually, these little lines mean nothing by themselves. And I alluded to this earlier, that women by themselves at this time, you know, just at home, can't make a huge difference, but together they can do a lot, right? So you put all of these, you know, these by themselves do nothing, but you put them all together and you get quite a story, you get quite a poem, you get quite a call to action. And so, you know, you have these short, short individual words by themselves mean nothing. Together, though, they form a poem. Which is power in numbers, right? You can have all these words, but once you put them together, then you get something. It's sort of like annotating this poem. We started out with a blank page with just a poem on it, but I mean, look at all the hard work that we've done so far, right? Okay, so then we have every line is 5 syllables. That's purposeful, right? So it's consistent. It's inevitable. We can count on it, right? We can count on every line being 5 lines. So it's bound to happen. It's supposed to happen. Just like this revolution. All right, let's do some color marking. I'm going to start with green. My words associated with strength. Our hammers, our rams, shoulder through hole. So many of us. Nudgers and shovers. Our kind multiplies. Inherit the earth. Our foot's in the door. Starting. Then I'm going to do weakness, voiceless, little or nothing. We are shelves, meek, edible. And then darkness, overnight, nobody sees us, earless, eyeless, shadow, I think that's it. I'm gonna say, we shall by morning. I'm gonna put a line that to mushrooms grow in the dark. Okay, so that is mushrooms by Pleth. As always, let me know if you guys have any questions.